I flew to another country to get a rare, intricate experimental surgery called a lymph node transplant that I didn't even know existed 6 months ago. This is basically what happened, but before we get into it, we got to bring it back to when I was around 10 years old and when this all begun. One day I had this swollen, painful leg out of nowhere. After months of testing, I was eventually diagnosed with something called lymphedema. Lymphedema is this condition that affects your lymphatic system, and your lymphatic system is responsible for the removal of waste products, swelling, destruction of cancer cells, your immune system. I was diagnosed with this condition at about age 10, and they told me that there is no cure for it, there's no treatment for it, there is nothing you can do. You can just do your best to manage it by wearing compression garments, and then basically said, good luck. I started Googling it, and Google showed me all these absolutely horrendous, disfigured limbs. I refused to be like that, so I did everything that I could to look after it, to elevate it, to wear compression, to eat right, to exercise, to research a cure, researching drugs, researching surgeries. I was sure there's something out there that could possibly do it. And when I was 18, I found this surgery in England where they basically bypass your blocked lymph node and they can make it a little bit better. I went to the surgeon, went for a pre-surgery consultation, was super excited for this to happen, and they told me that my lymphedema was too severe for any kind of surgical intervention and there was nothing that they could do. And when I was told that, it smashed any hope or any chance of ever managing it or ever being better, and I just fully accepted that it was destined to get worse. And the older I got, the worse it got. I started to have more and more visits to the hospital, started to have more and more surgeries. The condition, the swelling on my legs started to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And in the last few years, I started to move from stage 1 to stage 2 lymphedema, where your leg actually starts to change as you get this buildup of fibrosis or fibrotic tissue from constant swelling. And then one day I got a message on Instagram, and it was from someone who had spoke to very briefly about 2 years ago. She said to me that she had been booked in for a surgery in Paris. There's this one surgeon that does this procedure who's pioneered this operation, and she can actually treat and cure lymphedema in some people. And I was like, very skeptical. Obviously, this sounds like, I didn't get my hopes up. I was like, this sounds absolutely ridiculous. But like all good stories, booked a flight to Paris, expecting absolutely nothing, and booked in a lymphatic MRI scan as well.
MRI scan today. They're basically going to look at my lymphatic system, so see where the issue is, what the problem is, what's going on inside my leg in terms of the actual lymphatic vessels themselves.
Got the MRI and it revealed that things were much worse than I originally thought. Sat down with Dr. Becker, went through the not so good results. She looked at me and she said, so when do you want the surgery? And this is where the story really starts. This is the story of how I got a lymph node transplant surgery, what happened, how it went, and basically the entire process and where I'm at of recovery. I think on this, there's a lot of atrophy as well on the muscle from the surgery. So in total,
what is the more problem for you?
The biggest problem is probably just the swelling when I'm on my feet for long. The ankle, the foot, yeah. So it's gradual. So before the knee surgeries, I never really noticed any swelling here.
You see the liquid here, yeah. And it's completely hyperplasic. Strange, because it seems to be a normal lymphedema, but it's not a normal one. At the knee there is some, look here, also there is a problem. There is also something wrong here.
Okay.
And here. I will do my best to treat you, but
I think it's quite complicated.
I think so too.
We never expected the surgery to be easy, but the consultation before the procedure really confirmed how difficult and challenging and complex my case actually was. Rather than it being something that she's done many times before, it was something that she's probably never done before, and a very complicated case of a lot of unknowns. I haven't at all mentioned that I was actually trying to get surgery in the past from other surgeons in the UK who declined me because my case was too severe, and this is what they said. Conclusion: appearances of severe lymphedema with no evidence of deep functioning channels on the left. So call me an idiot, but I didn't actually show the surgeon this because I don't want her to be limited by self-limiting beliefs imposed by other experts. Also, to make things even more complicated, my girlfriend's visa, so she's not a UK citizen, her visa runs out on the day of my surgery. So we need to try and get her visa renewed within 24 hours, or she's going to have to go home and leave the country, leaving me by myself whilst I'm still under the knife in surgery. If they could just even just give us a bit of paper that gives her, do you know what I mean, that from someone official, that'd be better than nothing.
Hey, my darling, I love you so much.
All right, I love you lots.
Okay, girls, send that love.
Yeah, send my love back to them. See you later. Bye-bye.
Love you.
Love you too, bye.
Bye.
Why is she crying? I haven't died yet.
It's a very weird feeling. So this is probably going to be, this is going to be the last time that I run for a pretty long time. Today is going to be the day of last things, like the last run that I do in a long time, the last gym session that I do in a long time, the last walking around, the last eating out that I do in a long time. So I'm going to try and enjoy it. First of many blood tests.
What do you think of the Eiffel Tower, Queen?
Amazing. Bodies, Eiffel Tower. Upload that.
There is absolutely no guarantees that this is going to work or make anything better. It is a very rare surgery that hasn't been done, and my particular case is quite possibly a world first. Like the complexity, how it's not like typical lymphedema. And one of my biggest worries as well is this could actually make my condition worse. It could give me the same condition elsewhere in my body, so I have to live with this debilitating condition in another place as well as where I already have it.
Right people, it's the day of the surgery. It's very weird to think that this is going to be the last time I see my body ever without a plethora of extra scars on it. Those who do not risk will not win, so it's a risk, but it's a risk with the possibility of a payoff, so yeah. Queen has left for the Prefecta. She's going there now to try and extend her visa on the day of my surgery.
The anaesthetist was like, don't have anything to eat, but I think it will give me that energy, so I'm just going to have a little bit of chicken potatoes. For the surgery, it should be fine. She shouldn't have, Queen.
Foolish.
She said it's fine. A little bit of chicken.
Dude. Bro.
At least the colour's pretty sick. I feel like I'm on death row right now.
Just breathe into the mat and relax.
So for the last 10 seconds, we can beat that.
Okay? I will start.
Okay, no problem.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I make you sleep
1,000.
and I will see you later.
3,000, 4,000.
Sweet dreams.
6,000, 7,000. It's not, I just go like 8,000, 9,000, 10,
You said you were listening.
11, 12, 13, oh no, here it comes. 14, I beat 10 seconds. 15, oh damn, fucked mate. Oh my god.
I always win.
I'm not sure how much of this I can show, but I'll try and explain it and show what I can. The idea is to transplant lymph nodes from one part of my body that work into another part of my body that don't work. First thing I do is I inject this radioactive dye. So this is the radioactive dye in my skin. This is my leg. And you can just see where the dye flows. And that's basically because it's picked up by the lymphatic system, and where the dye is glowing is kind of like where my lymphatic system is, which gives them like a map to operate on and where to work. First step is to cut out the lymph nodes from under my armpit by my ribs. And because the lymphatic system is so intricate and so small, rather than cutting out the individual nodes, I cut out a chunk of tissue. So a chunk of muscle, a chunk of fat. Within this chunk is 2 lymph nodes. And the lymph nodes are like the pumps that pump around the fluid, that filter all the crap out of it. Like, they're really essential to have. Next step is to open up the region in the groin where the lymph nodes are going in. And this is like, you can see fat, muscle. And what she's basically doing is looking for vessels that she can attach the lymph nodes to. So it's almost like a mini kidney transplant in the sense that she's got to wire up all the vessels, wire up the arteries, the veins, and then by wiring the blood supply up to that section of tissue, it allows that tissue to grow in place. To give an idea of scale, I've got a yellow clamp here. Like, this is how big and intricate all of this is. The stitches are the size of a human hair. It's pretty crazy. Now she's got to stitch the tiny arteries together, putting the graft in place. It is currently Friday. I've been in hospital for 1 day. It's not pretty chill. I quite like it. It's weird. Like I deal with adversity and like fit this very well. Like I'm pretty happy. My biggest concern is because the surgery is so small is I don't want to tear any of these stitches. So I'm trying to be super careful with moving around and stuff. I'll get a lot of messages about like, oh, how do you deal with this kind of shit? Except for that shower I've had in 2 days. I'm gonna appreciate that shower, man. Because it's like when you have things that you take for granted every single day taken away from you, when you get them back, it's like a really good feeling. My overall happiness is pretty high. I wouldn't say more, but it's pretty high going through shit like this, even though I'm in pain, I'm in a hospital bed, because like the little things that I'm gonna get back, like leaving hospital, having a shower, being able to eat normal food, being able to go for a walk, is gonna bring me so much joy. And then day to day, we just take those things for granted. In the days after the surgery, the swelling in my leg was absolutely horrendous, man. Like the pain, I'm pretty good at dealing with it. It was pretty manageable. The swelling on my leg was like massively huge. So I had 2 incisions, one under my armpit and one under my groin. And then the lymphatics, obviously, have all been disturbed, just meant that the swelling was so bad on my leg to the point where I couldn't really bend it. So I spent the next about a week in hospital, then had a follow-up consultation with Dr. Becker to see how I was doing.
Some patients are a little more obviously like I will do it.
Oh
man. Yeah, take a bath. The man is always the same, man. They can afford everything except the plaster.
This is the worst thing.
Yeah, look the leg now. They have your leg. What happened here?
Yeah.
Normal leg?
Yeah, looks good.
Oh la la. Look, your ankle?
Yeah.
Take it away.
Oh.
A little hot. Look.
Wow.
It's super nice.
Yeah, really good.
Look, it's completely soft. After 3 days, 4 days.
You think it will continue to improve?
For sure it will.
Wow.
Improve. I think you will become normal. But don't worry, it takes a little time. So
Yeah.
it will be like this, but a little like this. You have to be aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cry.
Yeah.
But it's like this for 6 months.
Okay.
So you have to know it.
Yeah.
Never cry if it's a little more soft.
Hopefully it stays, you know, we'll see.
About 10 days later, I was home and I can now begin the long road to recovery. And this is kind of why I've been a bit absent on YouTube. I haven't really been able to do much, been trying to take it easy. And now I don't expect this to cure me. I fully accept my condition is incurable and there's no cure per se for it. But this could make my life a lot better and make my condition a lot better and make the swelling a lot better if it is successful. I might need another one. Hopefully I don't, because it is bloody expensive. And I want to say, like I've said it a million times, that thank you to everyone from the bottom of my heart who donated to the GoFundMe that enabled me to get this. The long, painful, frustrating road to recovery begins. I had some post-surgery complications. So it's been about 6 weeks post-surgery at the time of recording this. I had this thing called a seroma, which grew under my arm from where the lymph nodes were removed. That did sort itself out in the end. I did drain it myself and then realized I could probably give myself an infection, so it's not a good idea. And then it eventually went away by itself as well. And then I've also had a little bit of swelling on my lower back, but hopefully that will get better. That will subside and it is not lymphedema. But in terms of my leg and my arm, which is the main areas that I was worried about, they seem fine. My leg seems about the same. It's not any worse, which is a good sign. But she said you have to be patient. It's around 6 months minimum before we start to see the kind of impact of what it can have. If you want any help, want any advice, I'll try and get back to absolutely everyone. Drop me a DM on Instagram at MoSamuels. I'll do everything I can to give you all the information that I can as well, and also put the email or the website for Dr. Becker down in the description down below. But yes, boys and girls, that is me for the next few months, recovering from surgery, getting there slowly, trying to get my life back together again, hoping for the best, expecting the worst, and just recovering and doing all I can to get better. But yeah, drop a like, drop a comment for the algorithm. I know it's been a pretty slow and quiet one for me due to this and like the stress of this kind of looming over me, but we are getting there, we are getting better, and I'm doing pretty well now. I'll update you on some videos recovering, but I just think it's like so boring, isn't it? Who wants to watch me go to a gym and recover and like do like boring stuff? But yeah, anyway, people, peace out, I love to bits, thank you, good night.